Hi everyone, I'm Yolanda, and in today's tutorial we will be making a Cinderella carriage. First, let me show you the template that I use to make these scrolls. I'm going to be using lots and lots of scrolls for this project. After I made the scrolls, I painted them using luster dust and lemon extract. 50% lemon extract and 50% luster dust in gold, and then I painted everything. These are wheels that I made out of gum paste and a little bit of fondant. These are going to be placed at the base of the carriage. First, I made the circle, the outside circle, and then I cut another piece of fondant and gum paste and I made the spiral inside. Please be sure that the scrolls and the wheels dry for about 2 days. If you're going to use an extruder, make sure that your gum paste is very soft. To sit the cake, I covered these tin bags with fondant. This is to give it support. Then I covered the cardboard, the cake board where the cake is going to sit. I also covered it with fondant. I'm going to place the cardboard on top of the tin bags. The reason why I did this is because I want the cardboard to have some height. I want the base to have some height so that when I attach the wheels, the base does not look like it's just on the ground. And for the ruffles, I use this cutter to cut the ruffles and to trim the base. I will also be incorporating in this carriage mice. These mice are made out of gum paste and fondant. 50% gum paste and 50% fondant. I will teach you how to make them. If you remember in the Cinderella story, the 4 mice became the horses. And so I thought that it would look cute if I made some mice. So let's get started. With a mixture of gum paste and fondant, let's take a piece of the mixture and make a ball of about 1 inch. Then we are going to cut another piece and we are going to make another ball. We're going to roll another ball, maybe 1/4 of the size of the first ball. And these will be for the head and for the body. Now let's take the first ball and roll it between the palms of our hands, just like this, and elongate the ball. Make it a little long, okay? You are going to make it as long or as short as you want the body of the mouse to be. I want my mouse to be a little tall. So this is how I rolled mine. Now I'm going to take a toothpick, okay, run it through some edible glue, and I'm going to insert the toothpick in the body. Just like this, very carefully, just like this. Now I'm going to take the other ball and I'm going to shape it like a teardrop with the edge of my hand. I'm going to make it pointy, just like this. Now I'm going to measure the height of the head because I don't want the toothpick to stick out when I insert the head. So I'm going to cut the excess, grabbing the top of the toothpick so it doesn't go flying anywhere. And now I'm going to brush some edible glue over the toothpick, and then I'm going to attach the head to the body. And that's it. You see how easy that was? we have attached the head to the body. And now, to make the chest white, take a piece of white fondant and roll it in a maybe like a rectangle and attach it to the body. The next step is to make the feet of the mouse. We are going to take 2 small balls the same size, very tiny, and we are going to attach each one to either side of the body, just like this. Look how easy. We are using edible glue here, okay? Then we will take our fondant tool, this one here, and we are just going to make an impression, and we are going to form the toes of the feet. And now we are going to make the hands the same way, basically using 2 balls, 2 tiny balls the same size, but this one we are going to make it a little long. We are going to elongate it, and with the fondant tool we are going to make an impression and attach each one of them to either side of the body as well, using again edible glue. And now let's make the ears. I'm taking a small piece of fondant and I'm going to use as a cutter a regular size decorating tip. I'm going to cut 2 circles. This will be the center of the ears. Now take a piece of a mixture of fondant and gum paste and cut 2 other circles using a large decorating tip. If you have cutters these sizes, then you can use the cutters. Then we are going to brush the gray part with some edible glue and attach the pink part to it, and that's it. Now take the thick foam and place the circles on the foam, and with your ball tool just press down to cup the circles, just like this, making like a tiny cup. And now we will make a small pinch and kind of fold the ear like this to give it some shape. Now we are going to make an incision or a small cut on either side of the head. One on one side and another one on the other side. Do not join these 2 cuts. You need to leave a space in the middle. Okay, so now we will brush some edible glue and we are going to insert the ears into those cuts that we just made. You might need to hold the ears for a couple of seconds until they dry. Now I'm going to take the pencil tool and I'm going to poke two tiny holes on either side of the face. Then I'm going to take some black fondant, and I'm going to roll 2 tiny balls, and those are going to be inserted into those holes that I just poked, and those will be the eyes of the mouse. Then I will do the same thing for the nose, except this time the fondant will be in pink. And look how handsome he's starting to look already. For the tail, I'm going to be using my extruder. Be sure that before you put the gum paste or the fondant in your extruder, that you have massaged it with some vegetable shortening to make it soft and pliable. And here is the tail coming out. I'm going to cut it because it's very long, so I'm going to cut it and smooth it out. I will then attach it to the back of the mouse, and my mouse will be complete. So here is my cake. I made it yesterday and I froze it. I just took it out 20 minutes ago. I'm going to level it by cutting off the crown. Looking for the shortest part of the cake and using a serrated knife, I'm going to mark the edge, and as I do that, I'm going to start cutting, pushing the cake against the knife. Very slowly, very carefully. It is important, very important, that your cake is cold for you to make a nice cut. Now I'm going to fill my cake using buttercream, vanilla buttercream. And now put the second half on top of it and just make a little pressure. Press it down a little bit just to make sure that the two halves adhere to each other and that the buttercream is not going to come out. And if it does, just clean it with a spatula. So here it is. That's it. Now I'm going to make 4 indentations on this cake because I want the cake to look like a pumpkin. So I'm going to start cutting from the top to the bottom. I've already made 3 indentations, 3 lines going down. This last one, I want to show it to you how I made it. I already traced the line going down. Now I'm going to cut in a slant, just like this. Cut on either side of the line that I marked with the knife. And don't mind my cake because one is darker than the other. It's because from my 2 cake pans, one is thinner than the other, and that's why one of the cake is darker. Alright, so here it is. Now you are going to remove the excess with either using your fingers or the knife to make the indentation. In order for you to make these indentations on the cake, these lines going down, your cake needs to be very, very cold. You cannot do this with a warm cake because it's going to crumble. And here is my pumpkin already, my cake with a pumpkin shape. Now I'm going to put it in the fridge for a couple of minutes. Then I'm going to come back to give it a crumb coat. Now I'm going to put some buttercream on a small circle that I cut for the cake. Just like this. I cut the circle and I covered it. Now I'm going to give the pumpkin a crumb coat. A crumb coat is a thin layer of buttercream to seal in all the crumbs. And this is what I'm doing. After this, I'm going to refrigerate my cake. But before that, with your clean hands, you need to take your finger and remove the excess buttercream from inside the indentations, just like this. Now I'm going to freeze this cake for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to bring it out for a final coating of buttercream. Okay, so now I'm going to give my cake a final coating of buttercream after I froze it for 15 minutes. I'm just going to cover the solid parts. I'm not going to put any more buttercream into the indentations, just over the solid parts. I'm going to cut the zipper of this freezer bag to use it as a plastic instrument to smooth out the buttercream on the cake. And the reason that I'm doing this is because I don't want any of the buttercream to go into the indentation. And so with this small piece of plastic, it's easier for me to work with. You can use a small spatula if you like to. You don't need to use the plastic bag. After the final coating of buttercream, put it in the fridge for 5 minutes, then bring it outside for 5 more minutes and then cover with fondant. To find the size of the fondant circle that you need to cover your cake, you need to take a ruler and measure the height of the cake and multiply it by 2. In this case, it's 4. 4 times 2 is 8, and then you add the width of the cake. The width of this cake is 5. So 8 plus 5 is 13. My circle will be about 13 inches in circumference. Now I'm going to cover the pumpkin with the fondant, making a small pinch with a pin on top to take any air bubbles that might have accumulated when I place the fondant. Just remember that when you adhere the fondant to the cake, do not pull, do not stretch the fondant. Just push it into the cake. If you pull the fondant, it's going to tear. So you need to, little by little, starting from the top, going down, just push the fondant against the cake. As soon as I finish covering the cake with fondant, I'm going to start decorating it. And because of time, I can only come back and let you know how I made the decorations. And here's how I did it. For the main window, I took a piece of white fondant and I cut it into an oval shape and I attached it to the pumpkin. Then I cut a piece of blue triangle and I attached it on top of the white fondant. I attached some curtains and tied it with a heart on top. Then at the bottom of the base, I attached the wheels and a scroll in the middle between the two wheels. Notice how at the bottom of the pumpkin there are 4 legs holding the pumpkins, 2 on each side, in the front 2 and in the back 2. Now for this part, which is the back, I attached 2 scrolls on top in a heart shape. Then on top, as a topper, I attached 2 balls together, one small and one big, and attach them with edible glue. And then I put some pearls around, which I made using also the template for cutting the scrolls. On the opposite side of the main window, I attached a secondary window made out of a piece of fondant cut into 4 squares and decorated using scrolls. For the front of the carriage, I made a seat out of gum paste and fondant. You make these squares or rectangles and you insert toothpicks, you let them dry, and then you insert them into the pumpkin. You do that for the seat and also for the sides. For the back, I cut a piece of fondant and I attached it to the pumpkin as the back of the seat. Also, I attached some scrolls on the side as a trimming, and then around the bench, the seat, I attached some scrolls. And the main characters of this carriage are these mice. This one I attached using a toothpick. And this one that is sitting here, I also use a toothpick. You insert the toothpick into the cake and then you sit the figurine through the toothpick. The ones on the plate do not need the toothpick because they are fastened with royal icing, as are the scrolls and the wheels. They are all fastened using royal icing, so you will need to make a batch of royal icing. Also, these scrolls for this heart, this was not dried overnight because of the curve in the pumpkin. You have to cut the scrolls and just attach them like that, using a little bit of either royal icing or edible glue. Well, this has been all for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for visiting my channel. Please share, and if you like the video, subscribe to my channel so you could get other videos similar to this one. I will see you back here again very soon with another tutorial. In the meantime, may God bless you.